G'day everybody. This is the first of the Christmas gifts that I made last year. I had a lot of Christmas gifts that I built during the time, so this is I put them together and this is the first one. It's called Forbidden Fruit, and I saw the model. It's by Billy Hooper, and it's available both on Thingiverse and My Mini Factory. And when I saw it, I really liked the idea of it, and so I printed one, and it didn't print completely correct. The top fell in, I didn't support it properly, and a bit of the jaw was missing, and so I printed a second one and it turned out perfectly. I have a daughter and a son that both like D&D, and originally I thought of my daughter with it, but then I thought my son might like one as well, just to hang around in his D&D room. So I surreptitiously asked them which apples were their favourite. One is a Granny Smith lover, and the other one, sorry, Pink Lady, I think, Granny Smith, one of them, and the other one is a Red Delicious. So I decided to paint both of these in the style, so the centres of them the same. I got some reference off the internet and kept looking at the references. You can see that this all took place at the same time as I was doing Tank Girl, so there was lots and lots and lots and lots happening for me in November, December last year. And I just, with the airbrush, put the colours in as I saw them on the pictures and tried to make them look similar to the way that the pictures that I got off the internet looked. Then I noticed that the inside was a little bit like a fluory sort of a green, in the way that the fruit, the fruit, not skin, fruit part of the apple is pulpy part, I don't know. Then I got the red and started to paint the outside. I actually got some wipes, some tear-off wipes, and put it into around the centre, bunched it up around the centre, and put masking tape on it and masked it off. There was a little bit of overspray at the edge, but I wasn't going to spend hours and hours and hours trying to mask that up with tape, because I didn't think it'd be effective anyway. So it was a combination of reds for each of the colours, and depending upon the apple, and then I did have to go back and put a little bit more yellow into the inside, because in the process of doing the red I sort of blotted out the yellow a little bit. The Red Delicious apple has, as you can see there, a thicker core, and that's because I had to use milliput and rebuild it because the centre of it was missing. And so there was a bit of filling happened to that particular one. I didn't bother to replace the jaw on it, mostly because I didn't think it was necessary to do. I didn't even really notice it until I was doing the painting of airbrushing the fleshy part, that I didn't even realise that it was missing until then. So I thought, oh, well, it's not super obvious. It is when you say it, but I didn't notice it to start off with. This is the Granny Smith, I'm thinking is what she said. The Granny Smith bit, and I just constantly referred to the reference, painted the lines down, and then softened them out with water so that everything was very, very slow build-up process. So I put the dots on, and then I gradually painted in the lines and went back and did some more of the dots, painted some more of the lines, blotted them out, and over the time just built up to what I thought was a reasonable facsimile of what the apple actually looks like if you buy one in the shop. The Red Delicious was the same sort of process, just with different colours. It had a lot of darker colours to bring down on it. In the course of doing a lot of these videos for Christmas, what happened was a lot of these were all sprinkled between Tank Girl, and because with the Tank Girl build I was actually having to keep a 100% record of the build of it, when I ran out of video memory, some of the processes were missed. So you've got the basics for at least one of each thing, but there are a lot of stages where I was just going because Christmas was coming up and I didn't have video to video it. After I'd done the outside, I went back and touched up, pulled off the mask as you saw just a minute ago, and touched up the around the edge and painted them a bit more white again. I thought after I'd painted the red that they were a little bit too yellow, and then I did a brown wash inside and dirtied them all up and got it into all the crevices, and that made it look back to looking like a bit of an apple that's started to go a bit brown after you've left it out, which I think is in keeping with forbidden fruit and skulls and all of that sort of stuff. And after I'd done that, I did a dry brush of a white back over the top, and that should be, I think, after that was them done. And one looked like a Red Delicious and one looked like a Granny Smith. I did go back and paint the bottom of each of them with the colour that it was, so that it wasn't black on the bottom. So Granny Smith, Red Delicious. And that was that project, and both of the recipients enjoyed their Christmas gift and liked them very much. So you can see there that one of the jaws, the top part of the teeth is missing. There you go. The next project that I worked on for Christmas concurrently was IO, and I saw this model browsing through Claudio Cassini's art. He's on My Mini Factory, and I got a model of his, and then I was just looking at his other work and found this and went, aha, thank you. I have a daughter-in-law that's very much into Pooh Bear. She likes that, and this was just such a cute model. So we got a base coat of grey primer. So did the apples, by the way. And then I did a zenithal highlight, but it mostly was just to give me an idea of where he was going to be dark and where he was going to be light. When I sprayed the blue on, there wasn't much of the zenithal left, but it had already given me an idea of what was going to be what. Again, this is one of those casualties of video ran out, and so I was doing stuff. So you missed me putting some of the grey on. I did white around the eyes, and then I painted the first layer of purple, and then I did a darker purple. It looks black on the screen, but it actually isn't black. It's a really, really deep purple. When I had done this, I felt that the lighter purple in the eye needed to be redone. It wasn't wide enough, so I did come back and touch it up and make it a little bit wider. I think that actually is on this video when I did that. We'll have a look in a second. Yep, this might be it now. Or not. Yep, this will be that bit. He was a fairly simple model to do. I wanted to put a little bit of highlights on him, so I did lighten things up and highlight the top edges of his hair and on his tail and on his ribbon. I put a little bit on his legs, on the feet pads and on his nose, but it's really subtle because he's just cute. Once I'd made him, I wasn't sure exactly what to do. I didn't want to just hand him to her as a model to sit on the bench, so I decided to put him on top of a coffee jar. We had a Makona jar that's glass. I grabbed the lid and reproduced the lid. I turned it when I was turning the handle for the flail. That is already a video that I posted previously. I also turned a dupe replica of the lid but out of timber, so that I could polish it up and make it look a little bit nice on the jar and not just like a Makona jar with IO stuck on top of it. And so I turned that up and polished that up for him to sit on. So the paint job's pretty basic. You can see what I'm doing here, and I just went back and kept putting the colours on, lights and darks, until I was happy with the amount of volume that he had. And then oh, there you go. That's me painting the lighter purple back in. I told you I did it. And then there was just touching up all of his little stitching bits, putting the stitching pieces on, and I painted the zipper on the back of him with a very bright silver. I don't think that's on video, but there is a photograph of it for when he's finished. So on the whole, he came up really well. The wooden lid, I was able to, there's a photo coming up of me gluing the silicone-y, plasticky seal that's on the coffee jar to So there's the zipper, and this is the seal being glued onto the timber before I polished it, and that's how he came up when he was sitting there. Again, pleasantly received. I don't know what Sarah's done with it. No, I don't know whether she's using it as a jar or just as a display, but she liked it when I gave it to her, and I was really happy to have done it because it was a fun thing to do. And that was 2 Christmas presents down, as you can see. The last one of this group is a Christmas pudding. My daughter asked for, as a gift this year, to get a Christmas decoration. And so I decided, rather than buying one, to make one. And so I opted for a Christmas pudding and produced the model using Blender. I was really chuffed with this. I was very happy with the way the holly leaves turned out. They were the trickiest bit. And so it was fun. And I did the model. That's part of the fun, I think, of doing it all. This is the curing of the big one. I decided to make one for my daughter and then to make a smaller version for my wife, but I didn't tell my wife that it was coming. It ended up being a surprise for her. She knew about the big one but not the little one, so I had to be quite creative when I was taking photos of the process to make sure that I only ever got one at a time, so I didn't show her that there was a smaller one coming on. I started off by painting the icing, the white of the icing, and then I did a brown around that. Because of the shape of the model and because of the lettering that comes out and where the icing hits and things, there was a little bit of touching up back and forth. I touched up the white after I'd done the brown, but then I had to touch up the brown where I'd mucked up with the white. It was easy enough to do, pretty straightforward as far as getting it there, just making sure that you got your brush everywhere that it had to go in between all those letters, and trying to decide where the icing finished and where the cake would start if it was a cake. After I'd done the brown and the white, I started with the berries again, not knowing exactly how much touching up back and forth there was going to have to be, but knowing that there would be multiple coats for the white and the red, because you know what they like for coverage. At least there wasn't yellow on it. So the cherries all got done, and then it was time to try and make the pudding look like pudding. So I mixed up a darker brown. I'd put some bumps into the surface of the pudding to make it look a bit more cakey, and then I just dabbed the brown on. I was really happy with how this came out. When I was finished, it looked quite cakey. It looked like it could have been a cake that you'd seen. So it was just a combination of dabbing some washy, watery down paint in lighter colours and doing the dark fruit and the sultanas that would have been in it. And there you go. And it came up really, really good. I think that from here, I missed the bit where I was painting the leaves green. I think you've just got photos of them having been done. Yeah. And again, as I said, this Tank Girl was taking priority for video time, so I've given you what I actually had video for and time frames. Paint the letters coming out red to get it a bit more Christmassy, and then the last thing to do after all of that was to paint the gold lettering, which I did. So I did the ring on the top, that's the holder, and the lettering across the front. This ended up being really good. My daughter liked her Christmas decoration. I suppose she'll put it on the Christmas tree next year. Not sure what I'm going to do next year. Maybe more food, but there'll be another Christmas decoration for next year, and I hope you've enjoyed watching it. Almost up to a couple of stills for that, and then Cheerios from me. There will be a part 2 at least, because there's several more Christmas things that were produced, and depending upon how much time and what the video looks like for those, there could be a third one. So this is just crafty things for you to have a look at, processes and stuff like that, and I think they turned out pretty good. It's not as interesting as some of the other projects maybe, but it's just all the crafty experience for anybody that's interested in crafty things. So I thank you very much for spending some time with me watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you might have been inspired, especially by IO or Forbidden Fruit. Go and find models if you want to, and I'll see you next time.